Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast. The good.
That's okay. That's good. That's all right. That's okay.
Okay, what's your good of week 4?
So my good of week 4 is actually the Washington Commanders.
Okay, interesting one.
Yeah, I know an odd one considering they lost, but okay. Here's the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, the class of the NFC right now. I mean, maybe, the Niners are, I would say, is the actual class of the NFC, but, they're the NFC. They were the representatives of the NFC teams in the Super Bowl last year. So right now, that's the team to beat. You come off this terrible game. You looked awful. People were questioning if Sam Howell there was, worth anything. That should they just cut baits with him right now and move on? And here you go toe to toe with the reigning NFC championship, a champion game, and you got taken to overtime. And I was really hoping Riverboat Ron would have went for 2 there.
Mm-hmm.
I was so hoping for that because it just felt like, that's what they should. I don't know. I just felt like that they had all the momentum and they should have carried it over. But in the end, I'm quite, I'm impressed with what the Washington Commanders do. I don't normally give a good to a team that lost, but I mean, could you have a better loss?
No, this is a moral victory. Yeah, you're right. Howell actually looked pretty solid. Like, the week before, like you mentioned, against the Bills, he looked like, what are we doing here? What kind of quarterback do we have here? Funny, this is the second time we've talked about them, but I think they were in the ugly or bad last week, and this week they're in the good, which I think that's a good bounce back game for them. I agree with you. Being on the road, going into that atmosphere, when you tied the game, you might as well. I mean, when you had the opportunity to go ahead, that's the time to go for 2. Like, sometimes we overthink these things. I think, like, hey, we barely got to a point where we're going into overtime. Let's just try to end the game. That's what I would have done. I'm with you. Riverboat Ron probably should have done that. But regardless, it's still very impressive the way they went toe to toe with the Eagles. And it's interesting because the Commanders could be a sneaky wild card team because of, even though they played the Bills bad, they've had a couple of good weeks before that. So,
yeah, I wouldn't disagree. No, and that's the thing is that, like, again, we don't like to say there's more victories in the NFL, but if you're going to get one, this is as close as you get, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And I don't mean that they'll be a playoff team. I mean, they'll contend to be a playoff team. That's what I meant. Just so I'm clear. Let me go to my good. Speaking of sneaky playoff teams, the Houston Texans are my good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was
They,
hoping you talk about them.
yeah, I didn't know whether to do the Pittsburgh bad or the Houston good, but I want to give once again Houston props like I did last week. I think, they're 2-2. Stroud had another really good game. 2 touchdowns, a QBR of 76 and 111 QB rating. And here's the thing. They were going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, whose defense is really, really good. Like, they're one of the better defense. Collins continues to impress. He had over 160 yards. Pierce did enough, 24 carries for 81 yards, almost 3.5 yards a carry. And their defense held the Steelers offense, which I don't know if that's like a really good thing because the Steelers offense hasn't been going at all. So I don't know what it says, but it says something that they hold that team to 6 points. So the fact that they dominated the Steelers, Stroud looks like the right pick. Remember Lovie Smith last year, like almost like screwed them over out of the first overall pick. And it looks like actually Lovie Smith did the right thing now for Houston. I don't know. Let me ask you this. You think the Houston Texans could win the AFC South?
I don't see why they couldn't. I am so disappointed in a different team in the AFC South. And the Texans look legit. Like, they got a run game. They got a quarterback who Stroud hasn't thrown an interception yet.
I know, crazy.
4 games, a rookie with, I mean, I love the running back, not Damian Pierce.
Yeah, that's right. Dameon Pierce.
Oh, I was right. Sorry, but I love the running back Dameon Pierce, and I mean the receivers. I think they're okay. They're nothing to. Maybe I'm wrong, but nothing to write home about. Um, but they're doing enough to win. They look like I was critical of the Houston Texans a little bit. Like I like the decision, go get your defensive player 2 in this draft. I like the aggressiveness, but I'm like thinking in my head, back my head, you still got some years yet before you're going to be contending for the AFC South. Well, I was wrong. It ain't years. They're doing it this year. Like there's not another team in the AFC South that looks better than them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, CJ Stroud has thrown for the second most yards by a rookie through the first 4 games, only behind Cam Newton. So that's
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. But yeah. Okay, you ready to move on to the bad?
Yep.
Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.